Hey, what's up YouTube? It's Genie here, and today we're going to bring you a Diablo 2 Resurrected mod called YupGoolg Mod. If you're like me and is already finished with Season 9 Ladder, or the PoE 2 Early Access, until they release more patches that is, then you will love this mod. If you're not familiar with the concept of mods in general, it's basically changing the vanilla games without hard coding, so there are capped limits to what can be done, but there's also a lot of room for creativity. There's a lot of them out there, like reimagined and remodded, but as the name suggests, this one is created by a solo Korean modder called YupGoolg. He has his own channel, which I will be linking in the description below, but this one starts apart from the rest because he runs 4-month seasons similar to ladder seasons, with every new update making the previous characters unplayable. So it gives you a bit of a time limit so that it motivates you to play more dedicated. There's also weekly updates and bug fixes because he plays almost every day and you can converse with him through his channel. Diablo 2 mods are all made on single player, but as any hardcore Diablo 2 fan knows, you're essentially playing single player anyways while trading with bots at this point in the game. The good thing about the mods are that it's designed so that you can accomplish most things in the game through gameplay. There are two versions to this mod, something called the drop mod, which has a higher drop rate, so you'll get a lot more uniques. Most of the items that you'll be dropping will be of rare quality or higher, so it's easier to find some items this way. And also the basic mod, which has slightly higher than vanilla drop rates, but still enough so that you can enjoy that farming, which is essentially all of Diablo in itself. And now he's created a third mode called hard mode. This has reduced drop rates and a lower experience gain from monsters for much advanced players, and you can only use teleport starting at level 180. This mod also comes with a filter, which is what I love about it the most. There is an online version of the filter as well if you're interested, and what this does is it shows you the range in which items can roll, as well as some helpful tips and guides on maps, easier legibility, and overall quality of life features that you'll see as we get further into the video. This mod comes with new uniques, new runewords and runes, essentially never-ending content, which I can't introduce everything in this video, but since it's hard to find information about this mod because it's not popular enough for its own wiki page, hopefully this video will help you get started without missing out on too much from the beginning. If you like the sound of the things already, or would like to follow along while watching the video, I will leave instructions on how to download in the description below so that you can download and install the mod. Now it should go without saying that you need a copy of the vanilla game to play this mod, and I should warn you that the mod definitely isn't for beginners to the Diablo 2 franchise itself. In some ways it can seem easier as long as you can utilize all the mechanics, but it can be very punishing for those who do not understand the basic systems of Diablo, such as immunities or synergies. So if you've never tried playing Diablo 2 Resurrected, or Diablo 2 in general, I suggest you try playing the game in itself, as it is deservedly one of the masterpieces that Blizzard has produced. Once you're bored of the lack of updates and what seems like easy fixes to make a great game even better, this mod is then worth a try to enjoy the wide range of changes that the community has been asking for. When the mod is installed, you'll get a starting page, like you see here, with his name, so that you know that the mod is installed properly. And he's also made a cinematic in the back. And I pay a bit of subscription to his membership, so I have access to some other filters or skins as we call them. So this is the PoE 2 skin, so that you see the PoE 2 cinematic in the back. In fact, I'll switch to what everyone has access to, which is the normal version, or the Diablo 4 skin. So this one is the Diablo 4 skin. Doesn't have the cinematic, but has that logo. None of the content is blocked behind any paywalls, so don't feel pressured to pay money or have to subscribe. This is just for the aesthetics if you'd like to take a look. You'll see that we're in offline mode for the single player. And as I mentioned, the look is already different. You can see that this one is the basic drop mod. There's the version, and a guide tab that has a lot of information that you can refer to in-game as well. And we'll go over each one as we go through the video. So first you'll be creating a new character, and you can see that Sorceress has a black robe, Paladin has a black armor, Amazon has a black outlook as well. So all these are the filter in the skins that has the different look. So let's just create any character.
Good day.
So when you start off, the names above are in Korean because again it's a Korean based mod, but I've begged him and he's finally created the English skin and filters as well, so that it's helpful for the English speaking people. However, if you press the H key for help, most of the information are still in Korean. Now if you read the very tiny little letters that you can barely see, it does have English. So that's stone, this one here is bone. If you hover over the names, it gives you the English explanations there, so bone, and the stats that come with the rune word, as well as the ranges that you can see. When you start off in the very beginning, you will have some starting off items. You start off with the Rogers Cube right away, Pound Portal, and the Tome of Identify. This is a kill counter that counts your kills and your death. You don't have to have this in your inventory. It's automatically tied to your character, so if you buy another one of these later, it will be there. But if you like to keep track, you can carry it along. If you cube your starting compilation, you get your gem bag and your load box. And he gives you a little bit of a randomized gold to start off with, so it'll give me anywhere between 10,000 to 100,000. So if I use it, it's giving me about 60,000. One key point is if I try to use this in a vendor right away, I will lose all the gold because it's above my level cap. So make sure you put it into your personal stash tab. Speaking of stash tabs, the mod here has 8 tabs that you can use. Also, on your stats, you will notice right away you're starting off with negative 30 res. So there's a higher penalties in each difficulty, and at hell you will be at minus 400%. So it's harder to find that golden res point. So your resistance becomes important, but the good thing is for every level you get 3 stat points. But the level cap is also at 300, not 99.
Good day.
For your skills, there's some new skills for every character. Not every character is caught up, but all of them have at least one new skill that you can experiment with. And the original skills have been modified in some ways for some characters as well. For example, the Sorceress has, I believe this one has the same name, the Meteor Rain and the Fire. And also Zeus's Wrath. I'll be doing a separate video showcasing each character and their skills, but you may have seen some of them in the beginning of the video. The one key thing about the skill points though is, while you have unlimited respec points, there's a caveat. You can level a skill all the way up to level 30, but I recommend you only do it to 25 for those unlimited respecs, because if you look at this explanation, it's convoluted, but after level 25 it takes 2 skill points to level up. And if you respec after that, now you lose that skill point that you used. So you'll notice I start off with 42, but if I just randomly shift click for that 30 levels, it's 29 because I'm only at level 43. And I now respec. I only have 38 skill points because I lost those 4 points that went into the 29. This is one of the crucial beginner mistakes, and there is a way that you can recover the skill points later on, but it's almost like trying to find a jar rune, or even worse, in vanilla game. So the chances are pretty low and it's pretty difficult. So I would highly suggest that you keep an eye on this to try and avoid. So whenever you level up a skill, just make sure you go and stop at level 25 until you create a build that you're going to be sticking with for the rest of your character. Now back to my level 1 character, I've got the gold in my personal tab. A good thing about this mod is that you can go straight to Akara and grab Rejuice. These do cost 1500, so that's why you get quite a bit of money. So I would stack up on a bit of these, some stamina potions, and now I'm going to show you how you can read the maps. So as you run through the maps, you'll notice little rings of color. These green mean that in the center of these rings there is a shrine. And these white rings usually mean some sort of entrance. So here's the Den of Evil. Here's another white ring, so this would suggest that this is the next entrance into the next map. And you'll notice the Cold Plain waypoint here is disabled. This is to make room for a waypoint into the cow level. These blue circles suggest there is a waypoint, so you can go and find a waypoint easily. And lastly, these purple lines suggest that there is a quest-related location. Here's the Cairn Stones and the Rakan, and you can easily level up by killing these unique mobs that are just around, and they give you quite a bit of experience points. So I just killed a couple of Fallens, and it's gonna take me a little bit. You know what, let's grab lightning bolts to just kill these guys quick. Once I kill a unique, I kill this one pack of mobs here, and I'm at level 8. So finding these unique mobs and the minions are a quick way to try and level up. Now as you do that and level up, I would suggest that you pick up every item, because in this mod you're going to see modifiers that you probably haven't seen. For example, a simple magic sword can have 1 to class skills. It can have maximum damage based on character level, so for any melee characters that's going to be great. Or it can have modifiers such as max minions. So for necromancers, if you have this stat and you're using this gear, then instead of 1 golem, you can have 2 golems. And any one of these are very, very helpful, because even if you want to go ahead and create a rune word, here's a spirit that I have. Instead of looking for a 4-socket base, what you can do is if you go ahead and cube 1 scroll of Identify and any item, it turns it into a white base item that is superior. And you can do this however many times you want. So I can go ahead and put another one in, and it'll change the modifiers. And to go ahead and socket, you use the scroll of town portals, and however number of sockets you want, go ahead and cube that, and it puts the sockets in for you. And here's where you can go and create your rune words. On top of that, a charm like this is useful, but if I want to take a gamble at another set of modifiers, I can just transmute it by itself, and you can only do this once. You can see there's a limited tag that has been added, but it gives you a chance to see. So now I can sunder physical immunity. I can use Molten Boulder if I have this. So you can find skill charms as well on large charms, and a paladin is able to use Molten Boulder. One of the reasons why you want to go ahead and re-roll your charms is not only does it give you a chance to find other modifiers, but now that it is a white base, we can go ahead and socket this. 2 sockets, 2 sockets, and if you open up H for this, you can go to the icon with the large charm, and you can see what kind of Runewords you can make. So I can make smoke. So if I do a Nef and Alum, that'll give me a smoke charm. So instead of having it on my gear, I can keep it in my inventory. And you can see right now I'm in hell, so it gives us minus 400 difficulty penalty, so you can barely tell, but it does make a bit of a difference. On top of charms, you can also reroll chipped gems only. So you can't do this for any higher level gems, but if I go and reroll, I can get any color I want. And this is especially useful because there's something called a Gemword. So I'll go ahead, this is a magic item, again, put a scroll of identify, turn it into a white base. I want 2 sockets for this. If I put in 2 gems that are of the same tier and same color, it can create a Gemword. These are useful for early game. Doesn't give you a lot of stats, but it gives you a bit of a faster run walk, a bit of mana, and a bit of cold resist, so that is a good item that I can use early on. And lastly, any jewels you pick up are very important early on as well, because these can be rerolled infinitely. You can find whichever stat you want. I can use those minimum damage, or maybe 50 maximum damage, or maybe I'm lacking some sort of resistance that I can put this on. And I can socket this even in my small charm. So small charms can also have a socket, and I can put this lightning resistance in here. So right now my lightning resistance is at 269. If I put this in now, 281, so plus 12. But you might say, if I pick up every item, then my inventory is going to be so cluttered. That's where these gem bags come in. So any gems you pick up, you can put in to your gem bag, and it stacks up with the according ruby 1, diamond 1. If I put in a topaz, that's topaz 3. So according to the tier and the color, you can stack these up. Now, I do not suggest you hold this in your inventory, because all this is data. And as you can see here, may evaporate if not stored in a shared warehouse. The more you stack up in here, the more data it takes up. And because Diablo is such an old game, there's a capped limit of data that a character can hold at any given time. So your character's inventory, your mercenary's inventory, which you can give her all these amounts as well. And lastly, your personal inventory, all shared data. So if you have too many items with those 3 combined, then some items might start disappearing. So that's why you want to make sure you use your shared stash tabs to hold items so that you don't lose them. So I would put this gem bag in the shared tab where it's not going to disappear, because these have a higher data cap and you have that ease of mind. And you might say, Genie, but what about runes? You pick up so many of them that you're going to get overcluttered with them as well. As with most mods, it comes with an easy capability to stack runes. You can put up to, I believe, 20 runes. And if you just transmute them, it turns into a little bag that can hold your runes for you. And if you just want to take them out, put the stack in by itself, press transmute, and you get one out. As such. And when you put it in, again, you can just put in the stack and the number. You have to do it one by one if you're going to put them back in. Or if you have like 3 of them, you can go ahead and just create another one and stack these on top of each other. As such. So let me take out my jewel rune here. And an am rune here. So for Runewords, you can make them in anything you can think of. You can make your normal Spirit here. I've only rolled +1 to all skills. You'll notice it is usually +2. But because Spirit is so overpowered, he's gone ahead and created a range. So you can roll from 0 to 2 to all skills. Now, what do I do with this item? Do I just... what do I do with this item? Do I just toss it out? No. In this mod, you can use one of two things. 3 chipped gems and an item will take the runes out of the socket for you, and you can re-roll it. Now I've got my 2 skills. Or the other way is you can use a gem that has no prefixes. So a topaz, just a diamond, just a ruby. So the 3rd tier gem, one of them, and it can also take it out of the item for you. Roll the 2 again. One important thing is that you cannot do this re-rolling with charm rune words. To show you how to take out gems, if you go to Geed at Act 1 and trade, he sells these extractors. For example, I'm going to grab a emerald. Let's grab a couple emeralds. These do only work in 2s or 1s. I'm going to put 2, extract. You can see it went from 10 emerald to 4. Now I have 2. If I try to re-roll a charm rune word, it does not work. So this is one of the charm sinks. If you want to use this one specific charm for another rune word down the line, then you are going to have to do the good old hell rune and the teleport, and that way you can clear the runes. And when I say pick up every item that looks semi-special, if you see something like this on the ground with some sort of explanation or a different color, make sure you pick that up, because when you run into a situation where you're making a rune word, I got my Ral, Hal, and Soul. I need a tier rune to make an insight. You can make insight on gloves. So do I keep farming or go back to normal to farm for a tier rune? No. You can take your exploding potion and make sure you only have 1 quantity. So if I have 14 quantity of 25, I transmute and it gives me 1, and transmute again, gives me another 1, transmute, so I can keep breaking these down. And if I use 1 exploding potion with 1 rune, that will give me 2 runes of the lower tier. So now I have my Ral, Tier, Hal, Soul. Put that in my glove. And I can create an insight. And I roll the 13 meditation aura, of course. One thing to note is any rune that is higher than an M rune, so from Soul rune and onwards, you won't get 2, you will just get 1 of the lower rune. Like this. But you can use this to try and target the runes that you need for the specific rune word that you're looking for. With this information, now you're ready to start playing the YupGoolg mod. So we will go into the special mechanics that you need to remember as you play so that you can get the most of this mod. The first thing we will start with is something called the PokeDex. As you go throughout the game, you will notice items that drop that look like this, Pokeballs. On the ground, they have a little symbol, a little Pikachu waving at you to remind you to pick them up. And as you transmute them, either by 1 at a time or a 3 at a time, you start getting these Pokemons that seemingly do nothing. But once you get to Act 5, there is a little entrance over here marked by an N to make sure that you're aware. And on higher player levels, he drops it a lot more, so we will do that. You will find a legendary Pokemon. Now, these guys are pretty tough, so be prepared. Your character might not be able to do a player 7 like I just did, even though this guy's level 212 out of the 300. Still takes a little bit to go ahead and kill him. Let's go ahead and skip to the part where he dies. He dropped nothing, but if you kill him enough, he will eventually drop this. This item is one of the special features of the YupGoolg mod that you're going to keep an eye out for. If you open up the guide menu, which is here for me, but it might be over here for you, the one that says guide, Pokemon and figures, you scroll down, here's the PokeDex, and here is a list of all the modifiers that you can get from the PokeDex. The most important one being the Conviction Aura and the Teleport. So at 800 stacks you get Teleport. So how do we get stacks? When you pick it up, it would have been at 0 stacks. I've been working towards on this character for a little bit. But you can put in 1 Pokemon and transmute it together and it will give you 1 more stack. Now, you might pick up these Ultra Balls, which have special Pokemon that give you 5 points. And obviously, as it goes without saying, if you put in this, it gives you 5 points. Now you will go ahead and use this, stack it up, and when it turns from 39 to 40, you will get the next set of modifiers, which was a 25% faster run walk. As you can see here, at 40 you get 25% movement speed. Now, one thing to keep in mind is you can extract Pokemon 3 at a time, and sometimes even in these normal balls you might get a +3. But even if you don't, you can put these in 10 at a time. There's 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 10 here. If I put in here, it should turn 50. There it goes. Now, a very important thing to note is you have to make sure that the stack falls on the exact number where you get the modifier. Meaning the next stack that we get the modifier is at 60 because it goes 20, 40, 60, 80. If we accidentally make it so that it's at 51 right now, 55, and 56, and we get an Ultra Ball that gives us 5 points. If we put this in, it will not go on 60, but rather it'll go on 61. You'll see that we haven't gotten any new modifiers. That is because you have skipped over that 60 portion where you get the modifier. And you will see so for example, if I make it so that now it's 75 and now I have a +5, it'll hit or it'll land on 80. And at 80, we should get our next set of modifiers, Strength and Dex, based on character level. So if I go ahead and transmute it, there is our Strength and Dexterity based on character level that has been added to the Pokedex. Now, sometimes it is useful because there are some modifiers that you do want to skip. So for example, when you hit battle orders at 180, the level requirement will go up dramatically because of the skill level requirement. So right now we need 10 levels to use this item, which is pretty broken for the early game. But you're going to need probably level 130, it'll jump to that when you get to 180 stacks for that reason. Now the Pokedex doesn't have a lot of modifiers that you want to skip because most of them are useful, but if you're a magic character and you don't need attack speed, for example, you might want to skip that. Up to you. But the skipping becomes more important when you go to figure boxes. Figure boxes work very similar to Pokedexes, except there isn't a specific monster you have to kill. You need to pick up 5 of them as you go through the game. And once you have 5, you can transmute any 5 of them. And they range from different anime characters to various kind of figures. You can transmute 5 and you can get yourself a figure box. Now, right off the bat, it gives you an area attack, meaning your melee attacks are now splash damage. So without the figure box, I'm doing obviously one hits, even if they're close by. Once I have the figure box on, any monsters that are close by are going to be taking damage. So I'm hitting this monster, but they're going to be taking damage as well. And same thing with the stacking idea. You will pick up figures and you can put them inside the figure box to start getting stacks on top of it. Now, same thing with the figure box and the Pokedex. You can't have 2 of them, so you'll notice I'm not able to pick these up. Only when I put these back can I go. And the figure boxes also have figures that are +5. I'll leave that for a secret for you to find out. And also +10s. Here are some sample figures that you can grab. Or sorry, figure box, and here are some sample Pokedex and figure box that you can take a look. So this is 1,000 stacks, which is the max stacks. And you can see all the modifiers that it gives you. Plus the conviction aura, so just having it on has that conviction aura. And for that box, I don't think I skipped any modifiers, so I have all of them. Now for the figure box, however, you'll notice I'm not able to use it because of the level requirement. And if you take a look, I did get most of the modifiers, except something like this. So I skipped over the 160 using the skip function that I had explained, because this 10% chance to resurrect on kill. This clutters up your screen quite a bit because you just start reviving monsters. Again, I'll leave that for a secret if you're curious as to how that works, but long story short, I don't use it because I find it's not very helpful and it just kind of clutters up your screen. So when I was at 157 stacks, for example, I would have used that +5 figure to skip right over to 162 and not get this. You also want to skip Valkyrie because this will increase the level requirement for your figure box significantly, which makes it unusable early on when you're at that level of stacks. But if you absolutely want to use the +25 Valkyrie, by all means try and get it, but you probably won't be able to use it until very end game. Next special mechanic in YupGoolg Mod is the ability to turn unique items into charms. So here's a unique item which you would typically never use. It only gives you +1 to all skills, you have to use both hands. So it does have good modifiers, but not good enough to use in vanilla. But what if you could turn this into a charm so that you can just hold in your inventory? Well, if you look at the guide tab and look at recipes, there's going to be a section for the unique charms that mentions items you may never have seen before. But as the name suggests, you can get them from either Duriel, the Cow King in the Cow level, or Iswell in Act 4. But the number of the items that are required differs. So Razor Switch, which is above level 60, but below level 120, is going to need 2 of each. So I have my Razor Switch, I put 2 Milk of the Cow King, 2 Wings of Iswell, 2 Horns of Duriel, and transmute it, and it turns it into a charm that I can hold to reap its benefits. Not only that, recently he's also added the ability to turn any sort of rare or magic items into charms as well. So this is not the best, but just to illustrate how that would work, again, you would go and look up the recipe. You can see that rare and magic charm, you need 5 of each, regardless of levels at this point. And while unique charms, depending on the level requirement, it can turn into either a large charm or a grand charm. It will always turn into a grand charm for any rare magic items. So to show you how that's done, as the recipe says, you need 5 of each, so 5 wings, 5 horns, and 5 milks, and transmute, and there's my grand charm with the same modifiers. Now it does have some limitations. You can't turn items with minimum or maximum damage based on character level, because that would kind of break the game. But you can try and find useful modifiers for your class or for your build and stack those up so you can get that going. Next, one of the key features that you're going to be using to spec up your build is Enchanting. So Enchanting can be done through these random boxes that drop, and these will drop more as you go throughout the game and at later farming stages. But there are ones for weapons and also ones for armor, accessories, and rune boxes. These rune boxes are very simple. You can just kind of transmute one of them and get 3 of random runes that are below number 22 runes. So runes are the highest runes that you can get out of random rune boxes. But it also does have another feature for craftual material that I will show you later on. And to enchant, you would pick any items and transmute 1, and it will add the enchant count as such. And if you look at the enhanced damage, you will see that increase as we go higher in the counts. So 2, there goes the higher enhanced damage. And if we skip to 5, I can roll +1 to all skills, which I did land there, but there is a chance for it not to stick. So it is RNG, but that's what makes most crafting or games interesting for a lot of people. And starting from count 5, you need 2. So 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and there's 10, and I landed another +1 to all skills. And from here on, the requirements increase by 1 each, so now you need 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And that is the highest count, which I didn't land the +1 to all skills, but a lot of other modifiers such as -49 to enemy lightning resistance. And you can check what you can roll through the H button. Here's the enchant information, and if you hover over the weapon crystal sword icon, it shows you what you can roll. Same thing for armor. Here's what you can roll, and here you're going to be looking for the all skills and flat damage reduction, and also accessories. One thing this prevents is you can't take the runes out of this item now once it has been enchanted, so there's another rune sink. But for the most part, you'll only be doing this on items that you'll be keeping down the line, or crafting and enchanting so that you can land all the good ones and then crafting a rune word onto that item. And you may have noticed these Anni charms in my inventory, and usually you would have to sell a Ring of Jordan, a single one, because this is single player. In YupGoolg Mod, you can do Manald rings, Nagel rings, or Ring of Jordan, which I don't have to show you. So I'll go ahead and sell the Manald ring. It only works in hell difficulty, but now the Diablo clone has spawned. Make sure you're on players 7 or higher, so player 7 or 8, for you to have close to 100% drop rate. If I go find him over here, here he is. There he goes, and he drops the Anni charms. Not only can he drop a normal Anni charm, like in vanilla game, or he can drop a special elemental Anni charms. These elemental Anni charms are important because you can stack them to get the conviction aura of that specific element. So here's a poison Anni charm, and you're going to be looking for these conviction gems. These drop from Bale minions or terrorized zones. They might be a little hard to get early on, but once you find them enough, You can stack them on top of each other to create this 10, which I just gone ahead and did. So if you transmute it together, now there's 10 stacks. So I have 10 Conviction Poison Aura. If I equip this, I will now have, it's hard to see because I have so many auras, but I now have a Conviction Aura that specifically applies to poison damage. As you can see here, there's different damage types, and level 31 is the highest that you're going to get. So once you get level 31 and the 21 Conviction Aura from your PokeDex, you essentially have a lot of Conviction Aura to break immunity according to your damage, which helps you get to the secret dungeons later on. He is immune to all damage types, including cold. Some of it is broken because of the other Anni types, so I won't be able to do any cold damage to him, but as soon as I have the 2 that I need here, his cold immunity is broken, and I can now do cold damage. On top of crafting, the random rune box is specifically important because you can use it to create craft runes. Now, normal crafting, like blood gloves or faster cast belts, are not available in this mod. Those recipes have been taken out because rainbow facets are not the be end all socketables. So you can see the rainbow facet here, which still exists, but if I want lightning damage, you can take a look here in the craft jewel section. For lightning, we need a perfect diamond, any of these runes. So I'll take the Tau rune here, rune box, and a magic jewel of any kind. So I've got my magic jewel, my any rune, my diamond, and my rune box, and I can create a craft jewel. These will give you random modifiers, but the most important ones are going to be sundering the lightning immunity, because to do higher level dungeons, you're going to need those lightning immunity to be sundered. Now, instead of rainbow facets such as this, you can also drop ultimate facets. So for this one, I can illustrate right now. It says the ultimate range is added, and this is referring to the ultimate skill here. You will see if I take out the cube, the area in which the meteors drop has now significantly decreased. You can use this to modify the ultimate skill you're using so that it's better fits your build. To get to the torch, the Uber Tristram, instead of needing 3 of each keys, you can use 1 of each key here. You can transmute it, it opens the door to Tristram right away, so you don't have to go and collect the organs. But in addition, there's so many content because you can get a experience elixir from Hell Diablo and use 2 milk, horn, and wings, and you can open your door into a secret boss level. It's going to have a lot of these hidden bosses that drops high runes. Now, I am in drop mod right now, which is why everything is extremely high runes. If you're playing the normal version, it is not going to look like this. But here's the source for a lot of new items such as this. And the mod itself has higher tier dungeons that you can try. These get very difficult because you're going to have to break immunities and specific things. It shows you the requirements that you need, which is pretty steep. And they do a lot of damage and they have a lot of health. There's even items that allow you to use specific boss skills. So I can turn into Bale and start using his little Frost Nova stuff. Doesn't do a lot of damage, but it looks cool. So there's so much to do in this mod that I can't cover everything in one video. So here's an example of what you can look for in the end game, because there's endless farming. You can work your way up to gift boxes, and it can give you conviction gems that we talked about earlier. It can give you a book of skill and stat. So for example, I would be at 23 skill points on this character that I can still use. As soon as I use this book of skill and stat, so I've right-clicked and used it, I now have 24 skills. And these can stack infinitely, so you can imagine they're pretty hard to come by, but very rewarding. And these high rune boxes can drop from other places other than the Christmas gift box. But as you can read here, one stack will give you any rune between number 1 and 33, so a Zod rune. And from on out, it can even give you a higher rune. If I go ahead and transmute this quantity 2, then you can see I can get any rune between number 1 and 40. And I've got a draw rune. There's something called pet cards that you can grab from terrorized zones as well. So for example, I have a summoner pet card here. I am able to summon the summoner. And different pets have different effects. I believe the summoner gives you a cold related aura. And at the end of Enchanting, you can also modify your items to craft them into legendary items. So as you can see here, you'll notice that I have Infinity Stone. And if I look at it, it's essentially an infinity. Bear Mal Bear Ist. But it gives you a lot more defense. It's a better base to use with that item. So I know it's almost been an hour-long video, but even trying to focus on the basics, this mod has so much content. I've only touched the tip of the iceberg with the amount of skills, mechanics, and itemization changes that this mod offers, and along with it, hours and hours of fun for you can enjoy. A new season will be going live on January 10th, 2025. So if you liked what you saw, you can try and get familiar with this mod until then and start on a fresh character along with everyone else. I'll be on Twitch and YouTube most evenings, so feel free to drop by with any questions. And if you like the content, please drop a like and subscribe and comment below on your thoughts, because your wish is my command.